And good evening. Welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner here from the Highliner Activity Center on the Highliner Activity Network. I'm your host, Paul McDonald, and welcome to our first edition in March. When is it our second? Actually, it's our second edition here in March. Just a little promo of what's coming up on tonight's program. We are going to be talking gymnastics as Abbey Thornton, a junior on the Valley City Highliner gymnastics team, will be joining us and talking about a great state competition that she had here a couple of weekends ago in Dickinson. Also, we'll be talking express wrestling. That's coming up. And, of course, as we usually do, we'll let you know what's on the horizon on the Highliner Activity Network. And just a little promo for next week. You're not going to want to miss next week's show on the 9th of March, or on the 16th of March, because next week we are going to be talking about the three-class system. There's a proposal out there. West Fargo Cheyenne head basketball coach, boys basketball coach has a proposal out there, and we're going to be talking about that. Superintendent Josh Johnson will be joining us, and I think we're also going to be joined by Athletic Director Mike Schultz, and that'll be coming up next Wednesday on our show at 6 o'clock. On the way here on Coach's Corner, we are going to be talking with Abbey Thornton from the Valley City Highliners gymnastics team. That's on the way from the HAC. It's the Highliner Activity Network. Welcome back to the Highliner Activity Network and tonight's edition of Coach's Corner. Well, the last couple weeks ago in Dickinson, it was the state gymnastics competition, and we talked last week to Karina Olson, who was a state champ on the floor. This week, we're joined by another one of the juniors on the Highliner gymnastics team, Abbey Thornton. Abbey, how you doing?
I'm good.
Good. Now, I know your second gymnastics season is about ready to get rolling here with USGA, which we'll talk about a little later on in this conversation. But I guess question number one for you, 38.250 was your score that you had last week. And just when did you find out that was a school record for the all-around?
Well, Karina and I have actually been going back and forth like all season about taking the school record back. I went up to my parents right after my last competition and I calculated my scores and I found out then. Okay. That's pretty much all. I was excited, I worked really hard in the off season, so I was hoping it paid off like it did last year.
Well, I know last year, finished third in the all-around last year, and I think by, I want to say 0.05 points behind Zoe that finished second, and of course Amy Fridley was the winner in 2020, and 2021 actually is when the state meet was. So going into this year, did you really feel you had improved and did enough work in the off season that, you know what, not only am I going to beat that 37 plus, but I think I can move up in the rankings?
Yeah, well, I actually beat my last year's state's score by a point.
Okay.
And so if that was last year, I would have easily got first, but everyone worked hard in the off season. I think everyone that was going for, there's like 5 or 6 of us, put in a lot of work for it, and I think we all have a lot of drive for the sport and love for the sport, so it was kind of about who hit the routines when, and I had hit them, and so did they, so I guess I just kind of were a little bit messed up, and that's what...
Yeah, because last year, or this year, there was maybe 3 or 4 or 5 girls that were at 38 plus, yeah. And last year, I don't think 38, like you said, 38 would have won the state championship.
There was only 138 last year, that was the state championship.
And that was Amy. So now you look, I think it was, I want to say second on the bars.
Yep. Was
it third on the beam?
Third on the vault.
On the vault.
Sixth
on the beam, and then 8th on the floor.
Yep.
Next question, this is a 2-part question. Part 1, which one of those events is your favorite?
Bars is my favorite. You can do the most. I seem to be the best at vault, but...
Okay. And that was part 2 of my question. Yeah. Which one would you consider your best?
Yeah, vault's probably my best just because it's so much more simple. You don't have to do as much. Where bars, you have to constantly make sure you're hitting your handstands and you're going at the right angle. It's a lot harder to do bars, but there's more fun skills you can do.
Sure. Do you feel that maybe there's some points were left out?
Yeah.
On your routines this year?
Floor, I almost fell on my third pass. I don't know what happened, but I almost fell on that. And then vault, I took a big step after. I had too much power. So that cost me, and then I missed my second handstand on my bars. And we went over those, and that would have put me up there. So.
Okay. So you you're happy. It was great. I finished third at state. set a school record, however.
Yeah, yeah. For USAG, it's going to be a little different.
Right.
The scoring's a lot different there. So I'm happy with what I did in high school, but I know that's going to put me, that's not going to be as good. It's not good enough for USAG.
Yeah.
So I have 1 week to get that moving forward.
Because that's another level when you get to USGA, isn't it?
USAG, you can choose if you want to do high school or USAG, and you can't do them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not fair, I think. I don't know what the exact rule for that is, but USAG will get you out for college more.
Okay.
And just most people do USAG in high school. We have a really good high school program for North Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
And Minnesota's pretty good, but we've competed in South Dakota, and some of them aren't very good there.
When you go to meets this spring for this, do you go as Team North Dakota? Do you go as Abbey Thornton?
I'm just going as me, but
Yeah.
it would be for Valley Twisters. That's
Okay.
who I'd go for.
Sure.
I know a couple girls from Fargo, and then Amy's doing it from
Mhm.
Dickinson, so I know them. But yeah, I'm just my own person. They do team and individual, but
Okay.
I'm just individual because you have to make 3 for a team.
Okay. And that'd be almost like in people, if you know wrestling, sometimes you'll see unattached in wrestling. They maybe go to a school and wrestle for a school, but when they're at a certain meet, they're unattached. And that's kind of the same thing as what you're talking about. Yes, you're going as from representing Valley Twisters, but it's not going to be a team competition. When's your first meet coming up?
This Saturday.
So yeah, that's what you said. You have a week to get things going.
Yeah,
Where's that going to be at?
in Grand Forks.
Okay. Now, do you get to travel over the upper Midwest, or where do you go for some of these meets?
All over. It's like huge. I'm going to Grand Forks this week, and then like 2 weeks after it, I go to, if I make it to state, I go to
Mhm.
Minnesota, and then like regionals and westerns are in like Missouri, and I don't remember the
Okay.
other one.
But this is, as you said, if you're planning on doing this post-high school, this is something you should do. Excited about it?
Yeah. It's going to be a lot different though. High school, we are like all about a team, and you cheer for one another, and you're loud, and everything's kind of more upbeat and casual, where USAG is more serious, and you are a team there, you're just not as much of a team as high school.
Yep. But is the mental aspect a little bit more intense?
Yeah. I think I feel a lot more, I do get nervous for high school, but I feel a lot more relaxed, and you always have your team to back you up there, where they can make mistakes, like they can help you pick up your mistakes.
Okay.
And I mean, if you had a team there, they could do that, but I don't have a team.
So it's all you.
Yeah.
So the pressure's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Are you ready for it though? Do you
Yeah.
feel you're ready to give it a go?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit nervous still. But,
Sure. Did you do this in past years? Have you done this before?
Last year I did, and then I broke my foot.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So, last year was COVID year, and then the year before that I broke my foot. So
Okay.
I did it in the beginning.
So stay healthy, will you?
Yeah.
How long does this go through? All through the spring and summer, or just through
No, just I think through April.
just 1 month?
Yeah.
Okay.
It goes from like November all the way through,
Right.
but then just for me it's
Right.
March and April.
Right. Gymnastics is becoming year-round, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And even on the high school level, I mean, you're going to be constantly in the gym or whatever, and getting your routines down. Are you still fine-tuning those routines? You think you're at where you want to be, or you're still going to try to add a few things?
I need to add more
Sure.
things for UCD, but I'm kind of fine-tuning some of them.
Do you know, you talked about the scoring. Why is the scoring different? Is there certain things that look for differently?
You go by levels,
Okay.
so you have to have requirements there, where in high school it goes by like if the skill's high superior, advanced high superior, and you can like there's a lot of advanced high superiors, you can have a lot to choose from, but in USAG it's more like you have to have that skill to be in that level,
Okay.
and you have to graduate out of like level 8 and stuff.
Okay, so there's a lot of work to it.
Yeah.
A lot of work to it. Well, just a couple more questions. We'll go back just for the high school season 2, Abbey. As a team, you finished third. Probably, I don't know if you want to use the word disappointing, but I mean, you guys after a second place finish the year before really felt you had that to maybe inch up a little bit more.
Yeah, it wasn't disappointing. I just knew that we could have cleaned up more spots and had gone second. Jamestown was struggling too, which I mean, it's harder for us because we had like five on 2 events, 6 on the others to choose for 4 scores. Where the others they have a lot of girls to choose from. If someone gets injured, they have someone to go in for them, where we don't have that.
Right.
And we have to be a team more than the other ones do. And like me and Karina, we have to hit for sure. And Grace and Zoe, they've got to be on their game, and Maddie's pretty much has to hit 2, and Jada's got to do her 2 events that she can in order for us to get second. And we were doing really good, and then we got to beam, and I think we got a little bit nervous, and we had a couple falls there. But I wouldn't say it's disappointing. I'm really proud of how we did. I think like right close to EDC, we were struggling a little bit with like motivation.
Sure.
And trying to keep yourself going. And then we had a talk, and I think that got us moving a little bit more. So it might have been too late at that point.
Right.
But
You mentioned you and Karina, I think the 2 juniors, no seniors on this team, the 2 juniors. Did you guys kind of feel you kind of have to take that leadership role for Grace and Zoe and Maddie and Jada and the younger gymnasts?
well, we actually have 5 juniors because Grace and Zoe and Jada are all juniors.
That's right.
But Karina and I have been in it the longest,
Right.
and we've been there more. So like we are like known as the leaders. They all look up to us, which
The old ladies.
yeah, kind of we are. But I know all the younger girls look up to us, so we just have to make sure that we're pushing everybody, and we do it for them too, and make sure that we're always moving so they can have something to look forward to.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming by. I know you just got done with practice, so it's time to relax now, at least for the rest of the evening. But you said this Saturday coming up, you'll be up in Grand Forks for your first competition. Good luck.
Thank you.
I would usually say break a leg, but I don't want you to do that because you would. That's the way you do.
Yeah, that's how I am.
That's the way you are. So good luck, and hope you have a great April and a great USAG, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, I was going the other way. USAG
Yeah.
season. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's Abbey Thornton from the Valley City Highlander Gymnastics team. We'll be back with more of Coach's Corner on the Highlander Activity Network. Back here again on Coach's Corner. And we are wrapping up the show here for this week. Again, I want to thank Abbey Thornton for joining us. And again, I wish her good luck coming up in the USAG competition she'll have this Saturday in Grand Forks. So here's what's coming up on the Highlander Activity Network. We have got a 3rd grade music program. That's coming up from Jefferson Elementary tomorrow evening, and that will be here on the Highlander Activity Network. And then, of course, we'll have some time off, and then next Wednesday we'll be back here with another edition of Coach's Corner. Again, you're not going to want to miss the show here next week. We're going to be talking speech as they are getting about halfway through their season and getting ready to get into a state competition. We'll be talking more Express Wrestling again coming up here next week. But the big thing, we will have Josh Johnson, Superintendent of Valley City Public Schools, will be joining us, and also Athletic Director Mike Schultz will be joining us. We're going to be talking about the 3-class basketball proposal that is out there. West Fargo Cheyenne's head coach has a proposal, and I think Mr. Johnson and Mr. Schultz have even tossed around some ideas on a 3-class basketball system, and we'll talk about that. So that should be a very interesting topic coming up here next week. And speaking of basketball, State Class A tournament is going on in Bismarck. That gets started this weekend, and again, we'll be talking about that 3-class system, so you're not going to want to miss our show here next week. Again, my thanks to Abbey Thornton, our guest this week, Brian Krewald, our technical director and cameraman here this evening. And, of course, as usual, you, our viewers tonight. And joining us here on Coach's Corner on the Highlander Activity Network.